This is yet another family adventure starring me, Caitlin, my dad Keith, mum Kath and brother Kieran.
This time we also brought our grandmother Maureen, Kath's mum, and our travels take us to Vietnam and Cambodia.
We are always seeking out places that are interesting and where we can connect to the local people.
And feel safe travelling as a family. As you'll see in this video, both these countries are just perfect. We decided to begin our travels in the north of Vietnam, and so we flew into the capital, Hanoi, a city of 3.5 million people. Our hotel was right in the heart of the old sector, which was great. It meant you could dip in and out of the activity going on around you without too much of a culture shock.
By the end of the trip we were pretty much used to the traffic here, but in those first few days in Hanoi it was quite a big task dealing with all those bikes.
Considering that pedestrian crossings, traffic signals and walk now signs were ignored by everyone, the first lesson taught to us by our guide Phung was how to cross the road.
Okay, here we go.
You literally step out and slowly walk, allowing the traffic to flow around you. It's scary, but it works. Phung was a good teacher and pretty quickly we became good friends. We teased him that he was our Asian version of Mr. T because he had a lot of bling, but really he didn't tell us to quit our jibber jabber at all in the 20 days he looked after us.
Hanoi was simply bustling with life, and we found it fascinating to walk the streets and soak in the sights. Besides the difference in traffic to back home, the thing we found most fascinating was the way every space was used. People and their businesses spilled onto the streets and sidewalks, and yet no one seemed to get territorial. Everyone accepts that they share this space with millions of others and just gets on with it. If you want a parade, just do it. No stupid traffic management plan here.
Hanoi is the final resting place of Ho Chi Minh, so we decided to visit his mausoleum. Ho Chi Minh is revered here, and so his tomb is very popular. Really, really popular. We didn't have hours to wait to see him, so we opted for a stroll around his former residence, which was simple but lovely.
On the grounds we found a music shop where we were first introduced to some of the instruments we would find throughout Vietnam. They appear to be a lot like the ones we found in China, which isn't surprising given the history of this country.
Kieran is really interested in music, so we stopped to examine the instruments whenever we could.
Cool. Maybe need some practice.
Yeah, that's good, huh?
Not far from Ho Chi Minh's tomb, we visited the One Pillar Pagoda, which is considered one of Vietnam's most iconic temples. It is built on a single pillar and is designed to look like a lotus blossom.
While the original pagoda was built sometime around 1030 AD, this one looks quite new because it was rebuilt after the French destroyed it in 1954. What did they do that for? A stone's throw away was a huge museum built by the Russians to celebrate Ho Chi Minh's achievements. It was interesting, but its main focus is the Vietnamese people rather than the Western visitors. It is still well worth the visit.
We were close to another of Hanoi's top tourist attractions, and so we visited the Temple of Literature, which was the first university in Vietnam. It was built originally as a Confucian temple back in 1070 AD, and soon after, the bright young things from the elite families of Vietnam, including royalty, were invited to study here.
We discovered these stone statues on the back of turtles, which have been here since the late 1400s, and on them are written the names of students who passed the very difficult exams. Today, students come here for inspiration and to pray for good luck before exams. They rub the head of the turtle and often the name of a well-known scholar, but no one could say if it actually helped.
The grounds and surrounding buildings were very beautiful, which is not surprising as the kings used to come here to relax. In the old days, this centre path was reserved for them, so they must be turning in their tombs to see all these commoners tramping on their birthright.
On the way out, we met some students who are celebrating their graduation with a photo shoot. They look very pretty, and I'm sure they wish they could get the background to themselves. Oh well, you can always Photoshop out the tourists.
Capping off a brilliant day, we visited the Water Puppet Theatre. This art form began among the peasants of northern Vietnam as a form of entertainment in the flooded rice paddies and has only rarely been discovered by the wider world since the development of tourism in recent times.
The stage is inside a pool of murky water, and the puppeteers control the puppets from behind bamboo screens, using long bamboo sticks and strings that they cleverly hide under the water. We really enjoyed it, although Dad was pleased it only lasted for about half an hour because he could barely squeeze his legs in the seat. Not being able to fit into things designed for much shorter people will become a theme for Dad that day because we left late that night for supper aboard the overnight train. It was a lot of fun for us, but Dad was a bit stiff in the morning because his legs were scrunched up all night.
He got sympathy from no one.